Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. I can see the participant numbers going up, which is always encouraging when you put your heart and soul into a presentation. So while I'm doing that and we're just waiting for everyone to come in, if you wouldn't mind, just type into the chat and say, if you can put a yes, if you can see and hear me, that's always a good start. I've got the chat ready. We've done a little check, but I really need you to type that in if you don't mind. Just put we've got a Q, there's Q&A, but there's a chat spot. I can see something's come up in the Q&A, which is fine, but if there's it might be under the more button. I must admit, I'm not 100% sure how you're seeing it, but the more button's got 3 dots. There we are, good, okay, thank you. I can see that coming through, that's good. Good man. So we've got, I'm not sure whether it's Mark or Lester, and we've got Dinesh, that's good. All right, just while we've got people joining in, if you wouldn't mind, just type in where you're dialing in from. You know, you're not dialing in, but you know what I mean. Just where are you located? If you could do that, that'd be really helpful. And then we'll get cracking on the content. So we've got someone from Victoria. Oh, somebody else from Victoria. Well, look, my heart goes out to you guys. That is not easy at the moment. I guess if there's any silver lining here, maybe it's that you've got a little more time to do this kind of thing. All right, you others, I can see a few people are lurking in the background. If you wouldn't mind, just type into the chat, not the Q&A, but actual chat. Type in where you're dialing in from, where you're tuning in from. That would be really good, and then we'll get cracking. All right, that's good. So we've got people coming in from different spots. Good, people are still coming in. Good, all right. Manly, Gary. Now, which begs the question, which Manly? Because there's a few of those, aren't there? We've got Abby, who's from Perth, New South Wales. Okay, that's good. All right, thank you for the chat, everyone. I really appreciate it. It's, you know, if you've ever been on this side, it's kind of weird. And so being able to have that chat makes a huge difference. All right, let's get cracking then. 10 ways your website is costing you business. Of course, this is a message none of us want to hear, but the reality is there are so many opportunities in this space. And in this presentation, I'm going to give you 10 ways. So this is, of the presentations that I've done with Centaur and others, this is one that's going to be very heavy on things for you to write down. So I strongly recommend you have some pen and paper handy, because I am going to have to move at a bit of a pace to get through all 10 ways. So we got that one, that's good. Now, if you wouldn't mind, just type into the chat, if you can say whether you were at the last one of these Centaur ones live, or whether this is your first one. That just helped me to understand whether I need to repeat myself, or if everyone was at the last time. First one, thanks, Nicolette. What about you others? You've seen me do one of these before, the Centaur ones? Missed it last time? Shame on you, Abby. No, just kidding. I know you're busy. Okay, all right, looks like most people first. That's good, that's good. All right, so the purpose of this session is to help you understand the purpose of your website. You might think that's bleeding obvious, and I'm here to tell you it's not. Secondly, I want to help you boost your website strategy. There's going to be a strategy component of this. And then thirdly, to give you some tactics which you can implement immediately. Now, what I want to get you to do, if I were coming to you live, you know, I know we used to do that, we'd have these events live, I would get you to put your pen and paper and to write, take action now. Now, I can't see you, so I'm just going to trust that you've done it. If you wouldn't mind, look, there's a little demonstration. Here's my little writing pad. I literally want you to do this right now, please. And I'm going to write on here in nice big letters, take action now. There we are. See, this is what I want you to do. Take action now. And the reason I'm getting you to do that is very simple, because, you know, in the next hour, I'm going to give you a lot of information, and you may have heard the expression information is power, and I'm here to say, no, it's not. Applied information is power. So I want you to sort of have your antenna up in the next hour and thinking, what's something that I can take action on? There's going to be a lot of action points, but I'm not here to entertain you per se. I want to educate you so you can get an outcome from this. Now, the agenda is a little bit of an intro and background about me. I always figure when I'm hearing someone speak, it's good to know what their background is. You know, why should I even listen to this person? We're going to do 5 points on website strategy. Strategy is really important because it underpins what you do. And then 5 website tactics, and then we've got time for some Q&A at the end. If you have a question during, you're welcome to type it in. If I think it's something I can cover very quickly, I'll do it on the spot. If it's something that's a bit more detailed, I'll make a note of it and I'll answer it at the end. So I'm going to get my lovely assistant Rebecca to launch the first poll. If you wouldn't mind, just fill in what your role is. You'll see we've given you a few choices. We could have done some funny ones, but we didn't. So just type in what your role is at your practice. That would be very helpful. I can see that. Ooh, interesting, interesting. This is a different group today to what I usually see. I wonder who you think you are. Now I can see there's a few lurkers. Even if you are not, you know, going to chat for me, at least fill in the poll. Good, I'm going to give you, we've got a few more seconds for that to go. We're up to 2/3 of people have voted, so that's good. Let's see if we can get to 70%. Come on, you lurkers. I know there's someone there who's just about to vote. We'll wait for that to come through. Okay, good. All right, so I can tell you that 3/4 of you are dentists and the other 1/4 of you are practice managers. So that helps me a lot. Thank you for that. All right, background. So for me, what do you need to know? I guess a little bit about me. I'm married, kids and a granddaughter. This is my gorgeous granddaughter, Willow here. I know most of you have never met me before. You're thinking, how can a face this young be a grandfather? Don't worry, I wonder that too. And I always like to, you know, show a short video, something to do with my granddaughter to get things kicked off. Hey, Elise from Albany. I assume that's in WA. So here's a 30-second video of my granddaughter. Before I show this to you, I just want to tell you something. It's crazy things that happen. At this time, she was literally not even walking, certainly not talking. She could crawl and she could pull herself up. If you, any parents in the audience, you'd have seen that with your kids. There's that stage in between walking and crawling and walking where they can't walk, but they can pull themselves up. And I was listening to a song on my phone sitting on the ground, and Willow, my granddaughter, crawls over to me, and then this is what happens afterwards. I swear to you, none of this is choreographed. There are no siblings. I still, to this day, don't know how this happened, but there you go. Check this out. I don't know where all those dance moves came from, but I can tell you they didn't come from me. All right, so a little bit of background about me. I've got a master's degree in marketing. I've worked for, I said 10 years plus, with dentists, doctors and vets. It's been almost exclusively with dentists for about the last 6 years. International speaker, #1 Amazon best-selling author. There's my book there. Winner this year of the Australian Dental Industry Association Marketing Awards, and quoted on ABC, Fox and CBS. So hopefully you get a sense that this is what I do. Now, a little bit of background about me, and I'll show you, you know, we're going to come to this a little bit later on, but the story of the Ds. Now, the truth is my first job out of school was as a drummer, and that is a tough way to make a living, let me tell you. And by the way, don't worry about the banging in the background. We've got some tradies here today, so I told them to be quiet, but you know what it's like. After I was a drummer, I became a diplomat. I served the Australian government overseas for 7 years. That's me there, young looking fella. Then I moved to Adelaide and I became a developer. I had a property developing business, as I like to joke. I've had almost as many conversations with dentists about property as I have about marketing. And then finally, if you allow a little bit of poetic license, I became a drug pusher. Of course, the drugs I was pushing weren't the illegal kind, they were the legal kind. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. And it was really during this time I'd completed my master's, I'd done another 6 years of study on digital marketing, and I'd go and speak to healthcare professionals, talk to them what my employer wanted me to talk about, and then inevitably we'd end up talking about things like their website and digital marketing. And it just got me thinking, hey, maybe I could be a marketer. And so the upshot of that was I ended up choosing dental marketing. It helped, there was another D there, but also it was a really good mix of the need and the skills that I have. So I formed the business Angus Pryor, and we are about helping dentists win in business and life. That is something, look, I'm 51 years old. This is something that drives me. So on one side of the business, we have things like masterminds for a fairly elite group of dentists. I do consulting one-on-one, training like this, but then we also do stuff like search engine optimization, AdWords, and of course, websites. And it's websites that I'm going to be talking to you about today. I just make the observation, the opinions I'm giving you is not because I somehow dabble in this in my spare time. This is what we do all day, every day with my business. So with that in mind, let's get into website strategy. I've got 5 points here that I want to cover just to help you understand what it is that we're trying to achieve. And then in the subsequent points, we talk about the how. So 10 mistakes that are costing you money. Number 1, forgetting what the website is for. So I've got a question for you. If you wouldn't mind typing into the chat, what is the number 1 purpose of your website? What do you think it is? Just type that into the chat now. All right. Okay, promote and inform. Thanks, Alex, for typing that in. Practice information, marketing our business and our brand. These are all good answers. And thank you. I'm seeing some chats from people I hadn't seen before. All right, gold star to Anup. Look, I thought I'd answer, show our presence. Abby, thank you. All right, let's have a look. Do you remember this person? For people my generation, they might remember. Extra star, if you can tell me who this is. There's a pop star from back in the day. I won't keep, you can type it in if you like. This is a lady called Debbie Harry from a band called Blondie. And they had a very famous song. And the song went something like this. Call me. I don't know if you remember the tune. I'm not going to sing it for you, but it's all about calling you. Really, like all of that other stuff's great. But as far as I'm concerned, really the number 1 thing by a country mile that I want your website to do is I want people to call you. Now, that's what Debbie sang about, but what she was also thinking about was booking online. That is the bottom line with your website. If it's not causing people to call or book online, then I would say your website's not working very well and it's costing you money. Call me, do I? You can call me anytime. I said I wasn't going to sing it, but there you go. All right, second mistake. Failing the 5-second test. Now, this is not my opinion. There are a whole bunch of studies around this. And what the studies show is when people get to your website, you've got about 5 seconds to answer 3 questions for people. The reality is that people's attention spans now are at an all-time low, especially online, especially with social media. So 5 seconds to answer 3 questions. Question number 1. What's this about? How many times have you gone to a website where you find yourself going, I don't even really know what this website's about? And this is a question we've got to answer very quickly. In dentistry, the way you answer that question is you say, we're a dentist. And I'm going to show you some examples of dental websites where they don't answer this question. The person arrives there and they go, I got no idea what this is about. And if you can't answer that question in 5 seconds, they're out of here. Question number 2, who is this for? Now, unless you're doing some specialized kind of dentistry, either as a specialist or maybe like pediatric or something like that, then the answer to this question in dental land is really about your location. By and large, people don't travel that far for the dentist unless you're in Bacca Burke. And so not only do you want to make it super clear that you're a dentist, you also want to be really clear about where you are. If they have to go searching for that, you fail the 5-second test. So that's the second question. And this third one, I'd say most practices are okay with the first two. The third one, most practices fail badly. Why should I engage? What is it that you offer that makes me go, oh, okay, these guys are different, better. I should be engaging with this. And I can tell you it's not about, providing dentistry. That's a given. They know you're a dentist, but why should I come and see you? Why shouldn't I see the other 20 dentists that are in, 2 kilometres or 5 kilometres or 10 kilometres of your practice? So those are the questions. All right. Believe it or not, this is a homepage of a dental website. I found it 2 days ago. Now, I'm afraid for this one, this is an epic fail on all three. What's this about? I don't know. Who is this for? I don't know. Why should I engage? Now, some people might be curious to click on that enter button. Just type into the chat, what percentage of people do you think would actually click on that enter button, and what people do you think would just navigate away? Just give me the percentage. Just type in just yes, I don't know. What percentage of people would press enter? Just type that into the chat. All right, Elizabeth thinks none. Rochelle thinks 5. Looks like an adult site. I agree, it's a dental site. Abby thinks 20%. Oh, yeah, I mean, it can't be high. And as we'll learn a bit later on, every additional click that you make someone do, that's a bunch of people that leave. Like the fewer steps you can get someone to take, the faster they're going to leave. So that is a dental website, believe it or not. And I've got other examples, but I'm just going to show you one. What about this one? Who is this for? I'm sorry, what's this about? Now, the truth is, the word dental here is pretty well hidden. It's hidden up in the top left-hand corner here. I mean, it's obviously medical, but it's not really telling me that this is dental. Who is this for? And that's that location one. Geelong's up here. Like, to me, 2 key bits of information are hidden fairly small here, I must admit. And look, apologies if any of these websites are yours, but I just got to tell you as I call it. I mean, to me, for the people my generation, that reminds me of a gear shift on a manual car. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Why should I engage? I've got nothing. I don't even know what does that mean, uncompromising patient care? It almost scares me. So for me, I'm afraid that's a fail. All right, here's another one. My dentist, tick. Okay, we know it's a dentist. What's this about? It's about a dentist. Who is this for? I have no idea where this smiling woman is. I don't know whether that practice is near me or 100 kilometres away. And then why should I engage? Now, I think that if we do the percentage rates on this one, I think it would be better than the one that said enter. But, that video right there is a whole stack of people that are not going to press that. And for me, that's a fail. We want as many people to engage as quickly as possible. All right, now what I'm going to put up is a website example that I'd say is a good example, only if you're a narcissist, indeed. All right, this one is a good example. It could be better, but I think this is a good example. All right, so what's this about? That's about dentists. And in fact, you can see there's a few references of dentists there. There's another one here. So I'd say tick. Who is this for? Now, this one's okay. It does say Penrith up here. I probably would have made that a bit stronger. And then the third one is, why should I engage? And the truth is this one does it quite well. Experience a holistic dentist who combines first-rate dentistry with warmth and personal care. Okay, that's got me curious. I don't really know what a holistic dentist is, but it sounds like something that's a little bit different to some others. First-rate dentistry, well, I want that. And I also like the idea of warmth and personal care. And then it goes on some more information. So for me, this one's, we'll call it a 2.5. But that's certainly a lot better than some of the examples I've shown you. Now, I could do dozens of these, and believe me, it is very rare to come across a dentist that gets 3 out of 3 in 5 seconds. All right, which leads me to this. And I don't know, can you raise your hand? I guess you can put a Y or an N. I'm not here to criticize, but we want to learn from this. The 4 most wasted words on dental websites. I wonder if you know what that might be. Because for me, these 4 words do not pass the 5-second test, and yet I see them so often. The 4 most wasted words on dental websites, I'm seeing if anyone's game enough to type it in, not so far. Welcome to our practice. Really? This is the World Wide Web. Like, I mean, by inference, like, what has that added? Of course you're welcome. We're a public business. You know, it's not like it says, hey, this is only for certain people, otherwise the rest of you can nick off. I mean, to me, and I see so many dental websites that those are the first 4 words. Well, I'm sorry, you got 5 seconds to communicate 3 messages. And I'm like, so what? Who is this for? I don't know. What's this about? Well, practice, I don't know. Maybe medical. Why should I engage? Welcome. You're like, hello. Every dentist in Australia thinks this. So if you've got those 4 words prominently placed on your website, my counsellors, get rid of them. All right, mistake number 3. This one's going to mess with your heads a bit, but I just got to tell you the truth. Thinking it's all about you. It's not. Now, this is crazy, but I'll explain in a minute. You're thinking, Angus, it's my business. Of course it's all about us. No, it's not. You see, the fact is consumers don't care what you do. They only care what you do for me. It's a subtle distinction. And I'm going to give you a whole bunch of examples of things that people put on their websites. And I say, so what? Like, what do you do for me? You know, there's this expression, people are tuned into this radio station. Perhaps you've heard of it, WIIFM. What's in it for me? It's not about you, it's about me, the consumer. So this is the rule that I suggest, which is about 70-30. Your website should be 70% about them and 30% about you. Now, I'm going to show you some parts where it should be about you, but mostly it should be about me. You think about those headlines before. You know, some of them were all about themselves. That last one was more about me, what I get from coming to see you. Avoid these self-focused statements. Patients don't care if you're family owned. They don't care if you've been there a long time. They don't care how passionate you are about dentistry. They don't care what your philosophies are, except to the extent that it impacts me. I'm not saying those things are not important at all. The question is, what's in it for me? So here are some examples. Apologies if this is your website. I think I actually did delete some details here. We have over 35 years of experience. So what? Does that mean you've been practicing crap dentistry for 35 years? Like, what does it mean for me? We have a dedicated team. Well, that's a relief, because I assumed the whole practice didn't care about anyone except for themselves. Now, you can see I'm being critical here, but it's really, we provide comprehensive dental services from our location in Campbelltown. We accept patients of all ages. Well, that's a relief. We often treat whole families. Our staff is made up of 3 experienced dentists and many experienced dental assistants. The question is, what's in it for me? What does that mean? You've got to join the dots there. This one, again, I'm sorry if this is your practice. This is not on some page hidden at the back of the website. This is on the home page, prominently located. Having moved to Launceston in November 2015, we set up a sole dental practice at Family Dental with 1 assistant and my wife, working in reception. Oh my goodness. 2 years later, saw the addition of another practice, which was restructured to include more chairs and more dentists. I'm sorry, this badly fails the what's in it for me. I don't care about your history. I just care about what it is that you do for me. I hope that point's coming through. Here's the exception. Thinking it's not, I'm not saying don't talk about yourself at all, but every time, what does it mean for me, the consumer? Thinking it's all about you, except. Now, here's an exception. Type this one in. I can tell you, I've looked at Google Analytics data for hundreds of websites. What is the second most visited page on most websites? Certainly dental websites, even on my website. Just type it in. You're thinking, well, Angus, that depends. No, it doesn't. Not in my experience. Just waiting. Nicole says who we are. And oops says fees. Okay. Keep going. Come on, you others. What's the second most visited page on most websites? We know the number one's homepage. That's not a big surprise. Anybody else? Anybody else? Treatments, services and fees. Contact us. Yeah, these are all good answers. This is what the data shows. It's your About Us page. Yeah, who the dentists are. Because I think, you know, there's a book, perhaps you've heard of it, by a guy called Simon Sinek, not cynic, and it's called Start With Why. And it's we want to know kind of why. What are you about? So first of all, I want to know what's in it for me. But then the second thing I want to know is why. Like, who are you? So the Your About Us page is actually very important. Now, here are 6 things that you can be recording on your About Us page. I did a course recently with a branding expert, and she said, here are 6 things you should record. My recommendation would be you make them as videos, but if you have to do it in text, do it in text. How we are different. And I just counsel you here, every dentist in Australia thinks they're friendly. Every dentist in Australia thinks they're gentle. How are you genuinely different? Now, if you want to know the answer to that, I'm pretty sure one of the previous presentations I did with Centaur, we went into that. I think from memory, one of the previous ones was how to stand out in your local area. So contact the same list that you got this link from, contact them there. How are we different? And really think about what makes you different from other dentists and make it stuff that your patients value. Testimonials. Yes, you can use testimonials. It's APRA fine as long as they're not clinical. So if you have testimonials from people that say, Dr. Angus and his team are really friendly and they helped me to relax when I came in and that sort of stuff, that is totally APRA friendly. You can, you know, I could spend another whole presentation talking about that. Trust me, that part is fine from APRA. What's not fine is if they say, you know, Dr. Angus fixed my crown. Why we do what we do. Have a really serious think about that. Why do you do what you do? You know, because some of the clients are going, well, I presume that's because you wanted to earn lots of money. You know, you can charge me lots. So address that. Why did you get into dentistry? Why do you do what you do? What do you love about it? Now, whether you've got a promotion or an offer, some kind of thing that says, hey, here's a reason you should come and see us. Your views on a current event, a no-brainer here would be COVID. This would be, you know, you could talk about the impact of COVID on health and what that means in dental health. And then finally, some sort of expertise or thought leadership. Your consumers are overwhelmed with choice in most areas. I've got a client in Brisbane, he's not even in the city, and he's got 20 dental practices within 1,500 metres of him. They are overwhelmed with choice. And it's like, why should I choose you? So those are things you can cover there. All right, number 4, majoring in the minor. This is a mistake. Now, 80-20 rule. Most of you have heard of that. The idea being, for example, that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your effort, or 80% of your income will come from 20% of your patients. I wonder if you've ever looked this one up. I can tell you I had a client in WA who, let me get the figures straight, 40% of his income came from 3% of his patients. So, you know, like not all activities are created equal. There are some things you're going to do, you're going to get a much better return, and some you're going to get less. So in relation to your website, let's talk about, we don't want to major in the minor, we want to focus on this 80-20 rule. And what I've noticed when we've built websites for clients, some of them are like, oh, Angus, we need dozens of pages about our services and all these medical conditions. And I need to tell you, no, no, no. The one thing you should be focusing on above all else is your homepage. The data just shows this repeatedly. I've seen dental websites where 80% of visitors to the website go nowhere except for their homepage. So your homepage is definitely the 80-20 rule. The second one is your About Us. And I would say if you were looking to do some kind of website overhaul, if you were looking to build one, focus heavily on the homepage and then the About Us page. The data tends to trail off from there. Now here is some data from Google Analytics. I don't know if you know that there is such a thing, but if you have your site registered with Google, they will show you all sorts of data about people visiting the site. And I just want to show you, this is an example. You can look it up for your own website, ask your web person. So this big box here shows that 3,200 people started on this page. And you notice the little slash there, that's the home page. Like if you typed in anguspryor.com and then did the backslash, it would just be the home page. So we know on this website that 3,200 people started there. And then if you look, this particular page in analytics is looking at behavior. So most people start on the home page and then they move across to the About Us page. You can see the thickness of that little band there. Some people go to offers, some people go to contact us, interestingly, the ones that you mentioned. But the most common thing is they go to About Us. Here's the curious thing. And then the most common thing is back to the home page. Oh, I got a bit of an idea about who they were. Oh, who are these people? Oh, okay. Well, I'll go back to the home page and then even some of them will go back to the About Us page again. So this home page and then the About Us page. And what I'm showing you there is typical of almost every dental website I've seen. Now, with that in mind, here's a concept I'd never really thought about, but I'm reading this book at the moment. It's called the 80-20 Principle, great book. And what Richard Koch says is that within the 80-20 rule is another 80-20 rule. So if we know that 80% of our results come from 20% of our behaviours, then within that 20% is another 80-20, just so that this doesn't get too complex. Here's an image. So there is a home page for a website. And I can tell you, if that's the 80-20 rule, which is focusing on the home page, we've already said that, then the 80-20 within the 80-20 is right there. And that spot above the fold is absolutely critical. There are so many people who don't even go past that. They don't even scroll. So that is the most key part of your website. Homepage, very important. This part, they call it above the fold. The idea is that it's what people look at if they're on a desktop or a laptop without having to scroll. That is the #1 part on your website. All right, hope that makes sense. Okay, #5 mistake, not having an option for cooler visitors. Let me explain what that means. So warm to hot visitors. Now, if you've got someone who arrives at your website, and we'll call them kind of warm to hot, they're thinking about a dentist, they've got a dental need, then for them, what we want them to do is make an appointment. That's pretty simple. And we're going to have a look at that in just a minute. And really, that's what your website's all about. But I've got a question for you. What about all the people who are not warm to hot? What about the people who are cool to warm when they visit your website? What do we want them to do? What are we getting them to do? So if someone isn't ready to book yet, so they've got to your website, they're not at this stage, okay, and Dinesh said we want them to leave their contact details. That's true, but what we find is that people are often reluctant to leave their contact details because they don't want to be spammed. Just as evidence of this, you notice you guys on those other websites that I put up, you're like, oh no, I'm not clicking on that button. What are they going to do? Chase me around the internet? I don't like that. So the question is, how do we do this? And what I suggest is you offer something of value to get their details, and then you nurture them with valuable content. And I'll show you how we do that. So here's just a few different examples of things you could do. You could create a short video, or it could be a book or an article or whatever. 5 ways to save money on your family's dental bills. Now, I can tell you in this COVID environment, there are 2 hot buttons that are more prevalent now than they've been for quite some time. The first one is health. People are thinking about their health more than they have in years, probably decades. And then the second part, of course, is money. You know, a certain number of people are out of work, etc. So if you can speak to both of those issues, if I'm a mum looking, and it's often the mums that are the ones doing the dental, 5 ways to save money on my family's dental bills. Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you make this video or you do the article, I'm not saying you say, I mean, you just give them ideas for better oral health, but you know, what you say in there is up to you. I'm not suggesting that you say, don't come to the dentist. That's not the point at all. But that's enough that I'm curious enough that I go, oh yeah, I'll leave my details in exchange for that bit of information. So that's one example. You could do a PDF guide, the ultimate guide to a healthier smile. And you'll need to know who your clients are as to what sort of thing will appeal to them. A checklist, 7 easy steps, maybe it's too many, maybe it's only 3 easy steps to ensure your kids have great dental habits. You know, that, okay, well, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I would really like that because I know that I want my kids to be healthy and I know that I don't want them to be spending money. Or now you could do some kind of discount code, save X% off your next whatever service. So these are the sorts of things you can get people where you'll get a first name off them and their email address. The more bits of information you ask for them, the less people will fill this in. That's just the way that it works. If they could just download it for nothing, you know, X% would do it. If you ask for their email address, then a lower percentage would do it. If you ask for first name and email, a lower percentage would do it. But in my mind, first name and email address is probably about where you want to sit for this. So how do we do this? We want to nurture them, and there's automated systems that do this. One's called MailChimp, that's pretty common. And your web person can set that up so that, let's imagine it says on the side of the website, free video, you know, 5 ways to save money on your family's dental health. And then it's got a spot for their name and their email address. They fill that in. That then communicates with a system called MailChimp, and it will send them, because you've got to set it up, you can send them up some follow-up emails, maybe a bit of education, who knows, maybe a recipe, maybe a newsletter, something to take them from where they don't know about you at all, and then you can send them the occasional offer. And the offer can be, you know, come and have a first appointment with us because we really love new patients. Like, you don't need to make a discount or anything, but something that has a direct call to action. So that's an option for cooler visitors. I can assure you, and I'm going to show you some data later, that you have hundreds, maybe thousands of people visiting your website who never take action and don't call, and they are there and then they're gone. And this is a chance to grab a few of those people, send them a bit of content over time so you can kind of warm them up. All right. Well, that's the first half done. Now, what I'm going to get you to do, if you wouldn't mind just typing into the chat, please, what's one thing that you've picked up in the first half there? That allows me to just get some feedback from you. Just type into the chat, what's one thing that you picked up? These pregnant pauses on webinars are always fun, aren't they? Just type into the chat if you don't mind. Good, all right, thank you. So Anup says, get the visitor's attention as soon as they're in. Absolutely. Nicolette, focus on just the 2 pages. 70% focus on patients, 30% on us. Thanks, Rochelle. The importance of the home page. Abby, get a better home page. Dinesh, the 5-second rule. Alex, cooler visitors. Thank you, guys. I tell you what's weird is I ask the question and there's kind of crickets for a few seconds and I'm like, is anybody still there? But thankfully you are. All right, well, I really appreciate that feedback. It's good to know that those messages are getting through. Now look, a little favor. The truth is that I've been operating under the name Angus Pryor in my business for some time, and it's kind of a bit weird. When let's imagine I'm calling up to speak to one of you and the receptionist says, oh, okay, Angus, which firm are you from? And I go, I'm Angus from Angus Pryor. It just feels weird. And this same presentation that I went to with a branding expert, she said, look, do you ever want to sell your business? And I'm like, well, I guess one day. And she said, well, you can't make it your own name. So with that in mind, I'm going to put up a poll. We've got some suggested names that we're thinking about adopting for our business. And what I'd like you to do is to vote and just tick all that apply. So if you like more than one, just tick one, yeah, that one's okay, don't like that one, whatever. If you could just fill that in now, that would be enormously helpful for me. And I'm going to grab my guitar and play some songs. No, I don't know. If you wouldn't mind, just tell me what the names that you like, that appeal to you. If there could be more than one, there might just be one. And I guarantee you there'll be some that you don't like at all, and that's totally fine. Thank you for the votes that are coming in. It's very, very helpful. Now, Nicolette's asking if she can see the poll. I assume that's coming up on your screen, Nicolette. Just let me know if you can't. Dinesh thinks we should call ourselves Nike. No, I get where you're coming. I'll tell you the challenge in coming up with a business name these days is finding a URL. Like I've had many great suggestions for, you know, kind of names of businesses, and then you try and find the URL and it's already been taken. And I notice it in dentistry too. I notice that the names of dental practices become more and more, I won't say obscure, but sort of, they can be hard to, you know, because someone else has already got the URL. Okay, there we are, AP Marketing Solutions. I'll tell you what, Elizabeth, there's someone in my organisation who will love you because they suggested that. All right, that's great. Thank you so much for the feedback. I really appreciate it. Let's keep going. Good. All right, we've got a clear winner there. Most of you like Dental Marketing Solutions, so that's very interesting. That was the one that I liked the most too, but thank you to all the votes. All right, let's keep going then. Website tactics. So I've given you some kind of strategy. Let's have a look at some tactics. We've done that. All right. So this is mistake number 6, choosing sexy over effective. Now, as far as I can tell, dentists are like everybody else, which is we like sexy, you know, we like stuff that's cool and kind of fun and interesting. We like silver bullets. The only problem is sometimes we choose sexy over effective. And remember, for me, as your marketer for the next, you know, however many minutes we're together, I want your phone to ring. I want people to book an appointment. I don't want them to think you're cool or sexy. What you do in your spare time is up to you. All right, let's have a look. So good design is important, but aesthetics are only there to serve results. Now, I don't want to be flippant here, but I've got to be honest with you. Sometimes I speak to dentists and, like, if I'm really honest, I would say they're kind of in brackets, they're sort of saying, Angus, I want you to build me a website that my uni buddies are going to think is really sexy, and they're going to go, whoa, you know, what a beautiful looking website. And I'm like, that's great, but only to the extent that it makes people pick up the phone. So I want to show you some examples of where you can have stuff that looks sexy that doesn't work. All right. Have you seen these? Dare I say, have you got these on your website right now? Now, this is known in the industry as a slider or perhaps a carousel. And these are ones where the image flicks across, you know, like every 5 seconds, you'll get a fresh image. So this is Melbourne Dentistry. Again, apologies if this is your practice. So this says, we are a general dental practice providing high quality prevention focused dental care. I would say they failed the what's in it for me test, just saying. It's not about you, my friend, it's about me. So those sliders, you know, the images are flicking across. That's one possibility. Here's another possibility. Discover a dentist that really gets you. Open communication so you feel safe and well understood. New dental technology means you can forget and you can read the rest. To have you looking good and feeling great, experience Janelli Dental Care. Now this one below is just a static image. The one up the top has movement, you know, it's like a new image flicking across. And the ones like that one I showed you before can have video in the background. Here's the problem. This is what the research shows. The research shows that the static image with a clear message outperforms the slider, the video. Wonder why that happens. It's because of the risk of distraction. You got my attention for 5 seconds. Do you really want me watching that piece of video or whatever it is sliding in the background? No, you've got 5 seconds to say, what am I here for? Who is this for? And why should I engage? Now, in case you're thinking this is just my opinion, this is a website that I've been following for about 10 years. This is heavily based on empirical data. There's actual studies and tests. People do this stuff. Image carousels and sliders, don't use them. Here's why. I hesitate to say it, but I guarantee some of the people on this call have probably got them on your website. And the fact is, a static photo that doesn't move converts better than the carousel. Here's another point from the same thing. Again, this is heavily based on empirical data, not just someone's opinion. Why simple website designs are scientifically better. The simpler it is, the better you're going to get people to pick up the phone and call you. I almost want to say to people, I'm being a bit flippant. Look, I tell you what, can we build one website for you that works, where people will, make an online booking or pick up the phone, and then I'll build another website that's really sexy, and you can just tell that one and show that one to your friends, and they can say, "Whoa, Dr. Angus, what an awesome website." But for me as a marketer, I want it to work. I want you to grow your business. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, mistake number 7, no video content. Now, the beauty of video is it allows you to take potential clients on a journey. And this is the journey that the marketers tell us, which is to take someone from not knowing you at all to knowing you, to not liking you, to liking you, to not trusting you, to trusting you enough to make an appointment, whether they pick up the phone or do that online. It's that know, like, trust journey, and video is excellent at doing that. Shocking news just in. 80% of all content consumed online is video. This is the newest data that's out there. 80% of all content consumed online is video. So some simple videos that you can do. This is my smartphone here. You don't need special technology. The cameras in a smartphone these days are perfectly acceptable. I would say that 95% of the content on my website is shot on my iPhone. A simple practical tool. This is the sort of thing you could do. If I'm making this video, it'd be like this. Hi everyone, Dr. Angus here from blah, blah, blah dental. As a dentist, I often hear that people are a bit nervous about coming to the dentist, but I want to take you on a practice tour so you can understand just how gentle and relaxing it can be. Let's go and check it out. And then you just grab some, I'll answer your question in a second, Anoop. And then you just go and grab some shots of, you walk to the reception and, Mary waves and you say, when you call us, it's probably going to be Mary who's going to be picking up the phone. And then, I take him into stereo, believe it or not. Say, this is what we're doing to keep you safe, because I think people don't realise that. I'm sorry, by the way, my camera's there, but the video's there if I'm looking at the wrong screen at times. And then you could, show them how comfortable it is sitting in a chair. Now, the question from Anoop is, does video result in slower mobile loading? And the short answer is it doesn't have to. If you've got someone who's optimized your site, then it doesn't need to. All right, and in fact, I'm going to show that to you in a second. Make simple videos about common questions. What are the things that people ring up and ask you about? I would absolutely make a video about payment plans. The central message around payment plans is how to get what you want now without having to wait. That's payment plans in a nutshell. And by the way, post-COVID, if you're not offering payment plans, like, I'm sorry, you're crazy. You absolutely should. Procedures, I've been told I need a dental crown. How does it work? Kids' first visit, what to expect when my kids come to the dentist for the first time. So these are simple videos you can shoot. Just do it on your smartphone, find a video editor, do it yourself on your phone, or get someone off the internet to do it. That's very simple stuff. Slow load times. Well done, Anoop. You're a step ahead of me. If your website takes too long to load, you will be penalized by Google. Here's an article here suggesting that Google introduced a penalty for slow websites. So page speed, how quickly a page loads, you can actually be penalized, and the penalty is you don't show up in the search results as well. So this is important, but it doesn't mean you can't use video. Now here's a website you can test your own web page on, website.grader.com, and they will give you a mark out of 30 against a number of things. Just be aware, if your website.grader.com, of course, they would like you to have a slightly negative answer, because then you're probably going to buy their software or whatever to improve it. So, but anyway, nevertheless, it'll give you an indication of load times and that sort of thing. Now, Nicolette has asked, does it have to be the dentist doing the videos, or can staff do them too? And I would say it doesn't matter who does the videos. For most practices, they just don't do them at all. You definitely do want someone talking to the camera. That's important. Sorry, that's off screen there. Yeah, I don't mind who it is. I'd rather, in fact, usually I do consulting with dentists, and some of them are like, Angus, I don't care what you say, you're not getting me on camera. And I'd say, that's fine. Find the office extrovert and get them to do it. We just, we want a sort of warmth and kind of, maybe it's not so scary to come to the dentist. All right, so that's load times. I'm conscious this one's gone a bit longer than normal. No online booking. Now, this is the truth. Every extra step that you get a patient to do is another chance for them to disconnect. And if you have a look at the red here, you'll see on that website there were 5,800 sessions and 3,900 drop-offs. Now, that sort of data is not uncommon, but I just want to give you the sense that if you want someone to take an extra step, that's one of the reasons why, apart from everything else we said, that black website with the button on it, that's one extra step, and that's another chance for people to drop off. We don't want that. So with that in mind, let's talk about no online bookings. Now, here is something, this was a course that I did. They spoke about the sales and communication channel shift. I thought this was very interesting. For your baby boomers, they like phone calls. And so asking them to pick up the phone and make an appointment, no problem. That's their generation. The Gen Xers, Nicole and Nick, they like email, Facebook, Insta, SMS. And then you've got the Gen Y and the Gen Zs. And I can tell you, I've got a couple of kids that sit in this group. They don't like picking up the phone. It's kind of chat and messenger and, bots and so on. So with that in mind, then I would say having online booking on your website practice, I consider it to be, if it's not essential, it's very important. The one thing I will say here is you just want to check your internal practices about this, because if people are booking online, sometimes my clients have said to me, well, but if I get people to book online, they're less likely to turn up. And I guess what I'd say is have a look at your internal practice. It would depend a bit on your demographic in your area. But one of the things, here's a quote from a website called Insight Sales. If you follow up web leads within 5 minutes, you're 900% more likely to convert them. So my view is absolutely get the online bookings happen. You can see from those previous generations, 2 of those generations are, they're far less likely to pick up the phone and call. But what I would suggest is when you get them booking online, then I would get them to, you'd have an email that will arrive that says someone's booked, and I'd call them straight away. Hey, thanks, Jimmy, for booking in. Just confirming we're looking forward to seeing you next week. Just that confirmatory phone call makes a big difference. Now, Dinesh asked a question here. Does adding videos cost our organic ranking because we don't have content in text format? No, is the short answer. And one of the things you can do is you can have both. And the other aspect is, just by the way, don't know if you know this, but Google owns YouTube. And if you can get the content into the video, which is the part of the video that Google can see, then in fact you can boost your SEO. All right. Yep. Now look, the experience from Dental for Windows is that and thank you to our hosts, by the way, Centaur Dental for Windows, their experience is that on average, practices would get about 15 bookings per month per practice. So I would say it's definitely worth a look at. In addition, one of the nice things that Dental for Windows has got going at the moment is something called the Patient Discovery Network, which is these aggregator sites, you know, like My Health First or National Dental Plan, Your Dentist, these kind of things. And their experience there is, if people are registered with that they can get about an extra 3 bookings a month. So you can see why I think this is important, remembering your website's all about getting people to call. So just for this call, Dental for Windows has got an offer, which is get your first month free. So if you don't have online booking, obviously if you're working with Dental for Windows and you're thinking, well, I wouldn't mind trying it out, then what I would strongly suggest you do is take advantage of that. I mean, conduct your own clinical trial, like get it on there for a month, see how many bookings you get and make an assessment. Is it more than it was or is it less than it was? My reckoning based on those generation profiles is it should be higher. So what I'm going to do, rather than any big sort of pitch on that, we're just going to put a poll. And if you go, hey, look, I'd like to find out more about that. I'd like someone to contact me. I can't see your answers, I don't think, but I know that they can. And if you'd like to find out more about that, just put a yes or a no if you don't mind, and listen, and they can contact you. That also gives me a chance to have a little drink. But look, for what it's, okay, now we've got a question here. Nicolette, I think I'm going to come back to your question because it's a very good one. All right, thank you for everyone who's voted. That's great. That poll's done. Good. All right, wow. Finally, not showing up online. Now, this is not directly to your website, but boy, it impacts it. Like, a beautiful functioning website is great, but if you don't show up online, well, no one's going to see it. I mean, you know, I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know here. The number of searches online, the number of people who are looking for websites on Google, the only way that trend is going is higher and higher. 50% of near-me searches via mobiles result in a visit. Now for Google, it's all about relevance. That's how they won, you know, against all these others. And so fresh content on your website is really important because Google assumes that if there's no new content, it's low relevance and therefore you can be penalized in your ranking. So I would strongly recommend you increase your Google reviews. That will help get more people to your website and more people booking. And then the other thing I'd say, and look, this might sound self-serving, but just hear me out here. I mean, if I can put it to you this way, you know, surprise, surprise, I don't practice dentistry in my spare time. I don't dabble with, you know, extractions or crowns or whatever. And the reality is the level of complexity in winning at Google now has increased quite a lot. And I would say this is now like a diploma level skill. So I'm not saying you can't dabble in it at all, but if you find you're not getting the results you want, this is why. There is some complexity there. So, all right, now with that in mind, I do have a little offer for you. We launched last month what is Australia's fastest Google boost for dentists, or you pay nothing. And so what we guarantee is a 15% boost in your Google, you know, how you show up in terms of the hits and all that sort of stuff in the next 90 days. And we have a no contract policy. We guarantee results. So if you're interested in finding out if you're eligible, because not everybody's eligible, then head to anguspryor.com/fastest. You just pull up a little window now. Thank you. Yes, that link's in the chat, anguspryor.com/fastest. And you can find it because, like, it's great if you've got a good website, but we want people to be able to see it and we want you to show up more often. Now, usually if you've dealt with this space, this search engine optimization, it can take a long time to get a result, but this is Australia's fastest Google boost for dentists, and we guarantee it. If we don't achieve this, you don't pay a cent. So anguspryor.com/fastest. All right, that's Q&A time. Now, we've had some great questions as we've gone through. Nicolette, I owe you an answer to your question. For the rest of you, if you've got any questions, just type those in. I'll leave up that link if anyone was just trying to put those in. So Nicolette says, if we have a number of videos, is it better to put them all on the homepage or spread them through the site? My site loads in under 3 seconds. Well done. But the most time is the YouTube links. I've created my YouTube page from your advice. All right, well, that's nice to hear. Look, there's no, video and a reasonable load time on your website are not mutually exclusive. If you've got someone who's optimizing your website, and just a little hint, part of the way that we create this 15% boost in 90 days is based on-site optimization. What we do is we don't actually fiddle with what the client sees, it's what Google sees. So there's a whole bunch of things that Google can't see on your website. And so all I'd say is I notice a few of you seem to be a little bit nervous about putting video on your website because you're thinking, well, that's going to slow the load times, and if it slows the load time, then I won't show up as much. Like, that is not the case as long as it's optimized, and there are definitely ways of doing that. So yeah, as long as it's well optimized, there's really no issue. All right, that's good. Thank you, Dinesh. Nice little thank you. Any other questions? All right, so someone's asked about that aggregator thing. So if you get those online bookings, that's with Dental for Windows. I don't think the other guys do it. Free included in that is you get listed, with a number of these aggregator sites. An aggregator site is a site that will have basically every dentist in Australia on it. And if someone's looking for suburb name dentist and they land on that page, then showing up there can be quite a good thing. And I've got some of them here, doctors.com.au, Your Dentist, National Dental Plan, My Health First, Hum, even Medibank. And so that's included in what Centaur offers with that. So it's a nice little freebie, and in my experience, it's worthwhile. Any other questions before we finish up? Can I just say, while in case you're typing them in, I really appreciate the participation. You guys have been awesome. This is some of the most chat I've seen for some time. We did the last one of these and the chat function was turned off and it was not good. Otherwise, let me finish with these few slides. Hopefully you got a sense, strategy, tactics, Q&A, I think we covered that. Help you understand the purpose of your website. It's like that Blondie song, Call Me, or at least book in an appointment. Give you a sense of the strategy, what we need to be doing there, and hopefully we've given you some tactical options. Remember, guys, take action now. Hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for the chat. Otherwise, catch you next time. See you guys.